Hey guys, welcome to my lab. We still have quite a bit of equipment to get before we can get into any serious projects, but there's no reason we can't have a little fun in the meantime. So what we're going to do is play around with Plastidip. Plastidip is a rubbery coating that people use to coat all kinds of things. We've used it on wheels before, and on this toolbox that used to be entirely red. Now we'd like to try entire cars, and we'd like to try several of them, so I'd like to build a painting enclosure first. Let's get to that. Alright, so most of the walls of the enclosure are just going to be made out of this 6mm plastic stuff, but I figured if we use this canvas material on some of the walls, then that'll allow for airflow through the material while also filtering any dust or anything. And then, to provide the airflow that we need in order to keep it safe in there, these two large fans will get rid of all of the bad air. We're going to put these filters in front of them so that we won't be just spilling out Plastidip all over the floor. So the lighting in here is pretty good at about 75 lumens per square foot, but for painting I'd like a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is use these LED light panels. I actually got a couple of extra ones when I ordered the ones from China for the lab. So we're going to put 6 of these on the outside of the enclosure, just facing in through the plastic. For the frame, I think we'll just use 2x4s. We've got a lot of those hanging around, and I've designed this 2 days ago in a bit of a hurry. I haven't done any CAD work, so instead of explaining it to you now, I think I'll just show it to you when it's all done. So we'll go with that. So we will start with what I'm going to call the end caps. They're going to need to be pretty strong because they will provide all the real structure for the enclosure. Because this thing needs to fit the width of a car and have ample room to move around it, we're going to need to splice a few 2x4s together. And now for the cross braces. Because this is providing all of the structure for the enclosure, we will make these pretty large. We just use these full boards and then cut off the excess. And we mustn't forget the T-brake. Okay, back to work. First, we'll stretch the canvas all the way around the frame with staples. Then we'll cut the holes for the exhaust and mount the fans. There we go, that's both end caps completed. Now it's time for the plastic that will make the floors, walls, and ceiling. Here we're going to sandwich the plastic between two sets of 2x4s to create a thicker beam with plastic running through the middle. Now that the beams are finished, they just attach to the end caps, stretching the plastic to complete the enclosure. Of course, we'll need a way of getting in and out of the enclosure, so we'll use this zipper. The frame done. Unfortunately, it's too large to get a really good shot of it in this now confined space. But essentially what we have are these two end caps. They're identical on either end, and they hold up these large horizontal beams. The idea behind that is that these two end caps can sit up against the wall, and the horizontal beams, including the plastic and all, will just roll up like a nice convenient little rug for storage. So that's pretty much that, except we have a couple of little odds and ends to finish up. Now I'm going to mount these LED panels. I'm just going to use the mounting hardware that came with it, which are these little hooks. I'm just going to hook onto the 2x4s around the side, and that should be fine. I'm going to use regular house wiring around the perimeter. Just use regular junction boxes, and then at the end there's going to be just a regular wall plug, and that should be quite useful. Alright, here's what the lights look like now that they're installed. And that might not show up very well on the camera, but it's very handy to have the extra light when you're painting. As you can see, we already have our first subject getting prepared. So that's going to be very interesting. The last thing we need to do is make some sort of filtered vent hole, because the canvas is not allowing enough airflow as it stands. Just makes a giant vacuum in here, which is pretty cool, but not what we're going for. There we go. This should work. I just cut a hole here, folded it over, and stapled it. And then I'm just going to take this filter here and put it on there. And with that, the enclosure is done, and we're ready to Plastidip. Here are some before shots of our test subject. I don't have shots of us painting this time. Next time I'll figure out a way of getting the camera inside without getting it covered in Plastidip. Here's the finished product. This one's just matte black. I put one coat of glossifier on it, and it made it a little shinier than I thought it would. The finish wasn't quite what I was going for, but it's not bad for a first go. Well, no project is truly complete until you clean up, and we've made quite a mess. And look at these exhaust filters. They're like green frosted mega wheats. Anyway, the whole thing comes down pretty easily, all folding into itself. Then everything just rolls up into a nice plastic tube. Thanks for joining us on this project. Once the lab is in a more developed state, we'll be getting into bigger projects involving electronics, go-karts, gadgets, and other things that may catch our fancy. If you'd like to keep up with these projects and be notified when future videos come out, just hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.